Kate, sorry to interrupt, but you're all on mute. I can't hear anything.
Thank you for interrupting, Margot. They will figure it out. Can you hear me now? Like Verizon. Excellent. It's good to see your lovely faces. And for those of us in the room and those of us coming, also now here at the YMCA, they are having us sign in person. Please do not give them gruff. We represent Toastmasters. It sounds like already the poor lady had to deal with a couple of, if it's an inconvenience. You're here on time, you sign in, and I will tell you why. From a safety and logistics standpoint, I am shocked that in the several years we've been here, they never required us to do that. They should know who's here if there's ever an emergency. They should know how many people are in the place. And also, YMCAs get grant money for how many community members are here on a daily basis. So please let's help support our YMCA. And all you have to do is sign your name on there and write Toastmasters. Yes, question from the floor. If you are a YMCA member, she misspoke then. So if you are a YMCA member, there's no need to sign that registry. And it's not just a Toastmaster binder, it's a binder they've had, but they came together at a meeting and were clarifying a lot of their practices and their internal policies. And so please just sign that registry with no gruff. That would be lovely. And then if you are a YMCA member, many of you like to scan in, whether you're working out or not, because it gives you credit also. So if you're a YMCA member anywhere across the country, then that's fine. And you scan in. Any other Toastmaster members, please just sign that registry every week when you come in. It will be in the same exact place. And I'll say who's in our space so we know who's in the space. On Zoom, we have Larry and Marshall and Bridget and Margot and Beth and Les and Tracy. And I think that's it. In the room, we have Mary, Maggie, Mike Licata, Darcy, Steve, Jill, our Toastmaster of the day, myself, Kate, Joe, Mike Florio, Mark Campos, Len Thornton, Sam Giambattista, Sylvia Baptiste, Chris Kelly, Zach Finney, and Dr. Gerald Stevens. Have I missed anyone? Oh, Dave Licata, did he slide in? I thought. Oh, there he is. There he is. And Dave Licata. All righty. And I think that's enough for now. Maybe more at the end, maybe next week. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. President.
Do we have any more announcements anyone like to make? Okay. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And does somebody have a word of inspiration for us this morning? Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be back. Our heads, dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to get together with our friends and learn and grow. Thank you for stopping the rains. And thank you for that juicy, delicious 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. I had to get that in there. I'm sorry. Thank you, Joe.
And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster for the day, Miss Jill Roaring. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, President Joe. All right. As you can see, I chose National Hamburger Day as our theme for the day. I did this by the lovely method of getting on the computer and finding out what day of the week, what day it is. And this one inspired me. There was a couple other ones that were, okay. But first off, I want to make a toast to everyone here and in Zoom land who did such a fantastic job of responding this week. I even had 2 people sign up for General Evaluator, which was nice. And for coming and enjoying Toastmasters. And everybody is here on my list too. So thank you. Toast to all. National Hamburger Day. It's celebrated every year on May 28th. And this is where artificial intelligence got it wrong. When I first read it, it said every year on Thursday, May 28th. That doesn't work most of the time, but it is May 28th. It is a food holiday, obviously, dedicated to the hamburger, a dish that has become a symbol of comfort, convenience, and cultural connection in the US and beyond. It also supposedly marks the unofficial start of grilling season. But I think hopefully we've all been doing that already. And with that, I'm going to start with some roll holders. Our first, Darcy, as general evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I have not been general evaluator before, so this is a brand new experience for me. I said, how am I going to learn if I don't actually do it? So I did a little research on what the general evaluator is supposed to do, and there's like a lot of stuff. And we don't always do everything that is suggested in my little manual here, but that's okay. Each evaluation should be brief yet complete. We are to preserve or at least enhance the self-esteem of the speaker. We should know the purpose, the techniques, and the benefits of giving evaluation for the benefit of any guests. Evaluation is a positive experience designed to help people overcome weak habits and add power to good ones. I was supposed to sit near the back of the room, but I chose the front so that I could hear better. I'm supposed to take notes on everything that happens during the meeting and cover each participant in the program. What was good preparation or unacceptable preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, general performance of their duties. And finally, the quality of evaluations. Were they positive? Were they upbeat? Were they helpful? And did they point the way for improvement? I know it looks like I got in a fight, but you should see the other guy. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Darcy. Now we're going to go online. And Marshall Song is our word master for the day. What is our word?
Okay, thank you. Finger snapper muscle coming back. When I asked my American friend, why do you like hamburger so much? He said, I like bread, I like beef steak, I like vegetable. If you put them together, sure, I like hamburger. So customize means to modify, build, or alter something to fit the specific needs, preferences, or requirement of an individual customer or use. Everyone customize their burgers differently on the International Hamburger Day. If we hear anybody use customize, please help me to have finger snapper, and I will give my report in the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. Standing by is our master, Jim Batista.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. You could just say Sam G if that's easier for everybody. I will be the master today, so my job is to listen for filler words such as so, and any pregnant pauses.
Thank you, Sam. Next is our grammarian, Mike Licata.
Thank you, Jill. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I don't see any guests this morning, but my job as a grammarian will be to make sure that I track both the good and poor uses of the English language and report back to the meeting, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike. Sylvia Baptiste is our quote master.
I had a hard time to customize quotes. I give you this job, I'm going to find more than one. After you start reading them, it's like, oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. So I have about 4, sorry. Matthew McConaughey, if everybody knows, he's a good-looking actor, was sexiest man in the world there one time. He was quoted saying, "Man who invented the hamburger was smart. Man who invented the cheeseburger was a genius." Mother Nature clearly intended us to get our food from the patty group. Includes hamburgers, fish sticks, McNuggets, food that have all their organs safely removed. George Carlin. I love him. He was my favorite. And Bill Gates was quoted, "Flipping burgers is not beneath your dignity. Your grandparents had a different word for burger flipping. It was called opportunity." And everyone knows, well, 99% of us, I would say, maybe the younger generation don't. I will gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. Wimpy.
Thank you, Sylvia. Our jester is Dave Licata, so I'm not going to move the mic.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I would like to say that I customize these jokes to fit the Dave Licata humor, but I can't say that. So this is my tribute to Eric Snyder with an apology to Eric. And we have 3 little gems here. How did the hamburger introduce his girlfriend? Meet Patty. And why did the hamburger join the gym? Keep himself up. No, he wanted to work on his buns. And why did the final joke? Why did the cheeseburger cross the road? To catch up with friends. Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Always a joy to have some jests during the day. Tracy Farrell is our timer online. So Tracy, tell us. You have to unmute. Tracy.
Okay, sorry about that. Are you guys getting a lot of feedback from me?
No.
Okay, good. I'm hearing a lot of feedback. As timer, I'll be timing all sections of the meeting. Table topics are from 1 to 2 minutes. And I have my unique customized timing thing. This will be green, yellow, and red. And I'll be a lot better about that when I do it. Speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. And Jill, I have to tell you, I might need some help for the evaluations. I have a hard 8 o'clock leave time today.
Okay, Tracy. As long as we're aware of that ahead of time. Thank you. Chris Kelly is our quiz master. He's been standing in the bank, so it seems like forever, right?
Good morning. As quizmaster, I will be listening intently and deciding some interesting notes and questions from today's meeting. Thank you.
So now that all the regular roll holders are done, I'll give you a little bit about the history of hamburgers. How many people have heard the story about it was invented at the Erie County Fair? Nope, not true. Hamburg, New York was named after, just like many other cities in the United States, named after Hamburg, Germany, which is ironically one of the ports that an awful lot of German immigrants left from, including my relatives. And the actual Hamburg started there in Hamburg, Germany. Or well, it was a German custom and it got named in Hamburg. A ground meat dish patty. And sometime around the late 19th, early 20th century is when people decided to start putting in a bun. I'm not sure when cheese got added, but that is the history of the hamburger and Hamburg. I mean, it actually says that ground meat dishes have been a part of human cuisine for millennia. They must have pounded it or something years ago, many, many years ago. And with that, we're going to go to table topics. And Mary is doing table topics today, so let's see what kind of questions she has come up with.
So, Steve, come on up. I I think I have the perfect question for you. What is the most unusual or bizarre topping you would try on a hamburger?
The most unusual topping?
Bizarre or
Bizarre? Well, I'm a proponent of a little bit different slant on that. I believe in keeping it simple. The more you add things to Hamburg, the more you work it, the tougher it gets. So I keep the actual mixture simple. I let Jill do it. But she is of the same school. She mixes a few onions, a few seasonings in it. That's good. Now we can start to customize the finished burger. There are a million things you can add to a finished burger. But again, I like to keep it simple. A slice of onion. And even then, I have discovered a big old slab onion looks nice on a hamburger, but it's hard to eat. So you take a smaller slice that'll fit on top of the burger. You got that onion in there, and it's a lot easier to manage. Then you can throw whatever you want to on there. We'll get to the cheese in a second. Tomatoes, lettuce, mayonnaise. I think you like to put pineapple on them, don't you? That's a little different, but it's not bad. Now, cheese is quite the subject. There are those who will tell you, purists, that American cheese really isn't cheese. Technically, they're right. So what? But you can get many different sliced cheeses. Little provolone is excellent on there. But I'm not going to argue. Whatever cheese you got, put it on there. Load it up. Little ketchup, little mustard, you're all set. I don't think of any of these things as bizarre. I don't think that I'm getting something waved at me here. I don't think that anything is wrong. If you like it, put it on there. Madam Table Topics Master. Really?
Margot,
Good morning.
good morning. Where is your favorite place to order a hamburger?
I found it fun that Jill customized today by adding the hamburger as her topic because I love to customize my e-newsletters every month for the winery. And I know you asked about my favorite hamburger, but it's wherever I don't cook it. That's my favorite hamburger. But every day, every month, I go to a website called Brownie Locks, and you guys got to check this website out. If you want to know when National Pet Your Dress Up Your Pet Day is, whatever odd holiday you can think of is on this website. It's lined up by months, by week, everything you could think of. So, for example, June is Dairy Month. When you go into June, you find out which cheese has which day. Now, this past week, we had National Wine Day. You may not know that, but there was a National Wine Day. We had National Chardonnay Day, and 2 points if anybody there knows what my Chardonnay is cost. And I will leave it at that because I see the green light is up. And I hope you all check out Brownie Locks and find out all these wonderful, unusual holidays. Madam Table Topics Master.
So, Marty, I have a question. Do you want to hear it? What is your number one biggest pet peeve when ordering a hamburger?
What is my number one
pet peeve?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Topics Master, fellow members and guests. My number one pet peeve with hamburgers is sometimes they're too big. Sometimes people try to customize them like I did. Some of you may have seen a picture of me on social media, on Facebook, probably from about 10 years ago. It's a picture when I was on vacation with some family members in Aruba. And I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but the hamburger was just like the one on the agenda. It was like this big. And I'm not a pig. My father, if he was there and alive and saw that, he'd say, "What are you making a pig of yourself?" You know, my father would always eat a hamburger that was this big with a knife and a fork because he said his mouth was too big. You know my father, right, Mary? It was too big for his mouth, and my mother would say, "Oh, you're full of baloney," or whatever, you know. But my number one pet peeve probably would be that people make them too big and they can't fit them in their mouth and they fall all over the ingredients. Like Steve Smith said, all the delicious ingredients fall all over your plate. So then you will need a knife and a fork to eat that hamburger. So my number one pet peeve is that people sometimes try to customize the cheeseburger or the hamburger and make it too big and they make a mess. Back to you, Madam Topics Master. Thank you.
Jill, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Thank you, Mary. All right. Reports from Marshall first. How did the word do?
Okay, thank you. Before the table topics, Sylvia, David Licata, Tracy all used ones. Our three table topic speakers, first Steve used one, second Margot used one, third Marty used twice. So all of you are qualified. Congratulations, and please keep using customize. I will record that and you can get our finger snaps. Thank you. Go back to Jim.
Thank you, Marshall. Our timer, Tracy.
Hi, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. All of our participants qualified today. Steve at 135, Margot at 120, and Marty at 125. So they all qualify as far as time goes.
Thank
Madam
you, Tracy.
Toastmaster.
So you can vote for any of our three contestants, Steve, Margot, or Marty. And Darcy is around collecting ballots, and online one has come around. I even made one here. There we go. As Steve mentioned, I like pineapples on my burgers. A slice of pineapple and some ketchup. Sometimes maybe lettuce in there, but the pineapple alone really helps it out. It's something that was done in my family for years. And one time I asked my parents where they got the idea of a pineapple burger. And apparently they had gone to the old rock pile to watch Bill's game many, many years ago. And they stopped in some little diner, corner bar, or something to have something to eat after. And they served the pineapple burgers there. So that's where the pineapple burger came from for my family. All right. I think at this point we're going to go to our speaking portion. Our first speaker is Les Robinson, but he is being evaluated by Bridget, and they both are online. So, Bridget, can you tell us about Les's speech? Have you been warned?
Yes, I may. I can say something. Good morning, everybody. So Les will be speaking today from the Connect with Storytelling path. And the purpose of this project is to use a story within the speech or while giving the speech that is its story itself. He's going to try to customize his speech to meet the goals and the objectives of this path for himself. He can use any type of story, and he has 5 to 7 minutes to do this. The title of Lester's speech is Seminars by Les Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I start, I wanted to, on July 3rd, we are going to do a 250th party at our house. We're going to have fireworks. Starts at 7, gets over. Fireworks are at 9:15. I'm going to send this on its way to invite everyone to the club. So now I'm going to get ready for my speech. Seminars. I have been doing seminars for the past 25 years. And one of the first things I did was I joined Toastmasters. And when you walk into Lockport, which I was going to come in today, I have to go. I didn't want to go up and down Transit Road 20 times today. So very simple. As you walk in, you sit at the table. All the technology is there. The microphone's got to be adjusted. And the only thing you got to worry about is too many gestures, pregnant pauses. That's why you come to Toastmasters. So when you go out into the real world, you're able to do your presentations. I have spoken nationally, no problem. But let's get back to the local community level. I've had many fun things happen to me over the past 25 years. I did a community ed class at one of the schools, and I arrive about a half hour early. Very simple. Plug everything in, get everything set up, door locked. I start walking around the school. Finally, I come back to the door, and there's like 30 people. And I said, what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody scatter all through the school, and we're going to find the janitor. And this gentleman says, no, we're not. He picks out the phone, makes a phone call. About a minute later, this man comes running down the hall. Mr. Superintendent, I'm so sorry I left the door locked. Every time I go to that school for the past 15 years, door unlocked, technology is up to date, and there's a janitor that checks in not once or twice before I get started. Gotta love it. Number 2, I used to carry a 50-pound bag of equipment. I could adapt into any school district's overhead projector. I had tape, I had extension cords, I had everything possible under the sun. But due to changes, because everybody's there to change, they change these to usernames, passwords. So what you do is you come into the school and you hope that the username and password is good. I logged onto the computer. There were four other people, four other community ed teachers in the hall. And all of a sudden, my computer goes blank. The other two people go blank. Find out that the last person who installed in, tried to get in, locked out the entire system by logging into the last password, which took everyone out. Next one is school districts love to change your location. It does happen. I arrived to a room, and a few minutes later, the people with the yoga mats arrived, the SAT people, and then the sewing club people. Before I know it, there's 665 people in the room. Rule of thumb with the community ed, first one set up in the room usually gets to keep the room, except for the sewing machines became the sewing clubs, and we went back to the same rooms we started. Incredible. Now, I've been invited many places to speak. And I did one at an assisted living a few years ago. And I had people at the assisted living's parents or the kids come in to talk about care and just different things. And 6 minutes into the presentation, there's yelling, there's screaming. About 5 minutes later, the SWAT team shows up, and I had about 14 family members and about 9 local police officers arresting people on the floor. And that is a very interesting presentation when you're talking about how great this assisted living is and how great this is, and as they're evicting somebody. 2 minutes later, ended the presentation. Now, to add more interesting, I got asked to do a presentation at another nursing home a couple years later. And they said, we'd like you to do a 7 o'clock presentation. We're going to have family members come in. I said, okay. I said, I'll invite an attorney to come in. It'd be a really good presentation for the attorney and myself. So we're in there, and they said, well, we just had a little change. Nothing you don't have to worry about. You still get to do your presentation. I'm like, okay, well, we were in our normal place. We get moved down the hall, and we're in the room with all of the residents of the nursing home from the average ages of to 103. I looked at the attorney looked at me, and he's like, it's trying to sell caskets at a funeral as the person's going by in his casket. I said, well, let's have fun. So we had an enjoyable 35, 40 minutes. The cookies came out. We all ate the cookies. I brought some cookies home. So you never know what's going to go on in your seminar. Very simple, very easy. You can join Toastmasters, be prepared. And I will say one thing about AM Lockport, except for the mic that goes up and down and the once in a while glitch, no problem. What ends up happening is you have to customize, use the word customize, your speech for the unknown variables of all the different possible things that can happen. And as you prepare, you kind of just sit back and do all the defaults as possible and avoid ums and know your topic. Because at the end of the day, you have to know everything to give a presentation. And the bottom line is if the projector doesn't work, hand puppets or miming or charades does not work. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. Some interesting pointers there. Our speaker number 2 was one of the ones who signed up today. He is being evaluated by Larry, who is online, but Zach Finney is doing the speech. So Larry, tell us about the speech.
Good morning, everyone. This morning I have the unique opportunity of evaluating Zach Finney. Zach will be working out of level 1 and presentation mastery. His objectives are to write and customize a speech with purpose and define the purpose of his speech with methods to produce a well-organized speech on any topic of his choice. This morning, Zach will be presenting his speech titled Double Cheeseburger, Slice, Sauce, Red Sauce, Onion, Fry Sauce. Zach Finney.
Thank you, Larry. soon as I saw that title, I was intrigued.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Ordering double cheeseburger, sliced sauce, red sauce, onion, fry sauce. I'm guessing most people here are going to know what this means, but potentially there might be some confused looks. And for anybody who's maybe confused, this is my personal custom order from the great Reed's Drive-In. Reed's was one of my first jobs when I turned 16. That was kind of my entry into the workforce. And so, in celebration of National Hamburger Day, I want to be sharing my experience working for Reed's and the two things that I think make Reed's very, very special. To start with that, I think I need to do more without the notes. So let's start with what makes a cheeseburger incredible. And so, number one, the bun. The bun needs to be toasted on the grill. You got to get that crust on that inside layer. That's going to add a little bit of contrast to the burger when you get to bite it. Number two, the patties. For me, they got to be smashed. They got to be thin. You get that nice crust on the outside. That Maillard reaction is the scientific term, and that makes it delicious. Number three, the cheese. We talked a little bit about the cheese. I'm an American guy. Got to be American cheese. Got to melt and just be that ooey gooey delicious cheese. Number four, we start getting into toppings. This is where we can really customize the cheeseburger. And we heard pineapples, onions, pickles. For me, it's the onion. It's the sliced white onion that just adds that crisp bite and adds a little contrast. And last but not least, the secret sauce, which is where Reed's comes in. Reed's had Lefroy sauce. Lefroy sauce now is out of production, unfortunately. So I think what they've done now is they've gone and tried to recreate Lefroy sauce. But I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but it just doesn't quite taste the same as it used to. And that's the reason why. It was 2021 or 2022 when Lefroy sauce went out of production. And that was just the real secret sauce of Reed's, that there was nothing like it. You didn't get that anywhere. And it's actually a Western New York regional sauce. So those are the things that Reed's does very well to just make a special, special cheeseburger. The other thing, number two, was the order taking. So as the employee at the front desk, we didn't have pen and paper. We didn't have iPads. We didn't have tablets. It was all based on memory. So we had to listen to, whether it was one person or a family of five, we had to create this tally system in our minds and organize how many cheeseburgers, hot dogs, French fries, did they have sauce, did they have onions, and read that back to the cooks. And I think that just created this really fun collaborative effort between the customer and the Reed's employee. And so now it's all tablets, unfortunately. But I'm sure the customer was wondering, how the heck is this guy going to remember this order? And then as a new employee, I'm wondering, how the heck am I going to remember this order and read it back? So those are the two things that really make Reed's super special. And it's for those reasons that I'm proud to be from Western New York, and I am proud to have been a part of the Reed's legacy. Thank you, and happy National Hamburger Day, everybody.
Thank you, Zach. How did they teach you to memorize that stuff? Yeah. 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 You got time. Yeah. Yeah. Tell us how you.
Yeah, and so You can tell I'm very new at this. That was meant to be part of the speech. So the way that we memorized the things, so there was a list from most complex all the way down to the more simple items. And so we would have the like fish sandwiches, those unique things that don't come very often. That would be like its own first order. Then maybe a grilled cheese sandwich, also kind of a unique thing from Reed's. And then from there, you work your way through the double cheeseburgers, the most complex first. So it would be double cheeseburger slice sauce, then double cheeseburger sauce, and then just a double cheeseburger. And so you have those things and you start to tally how many. Then you work your way down to cheeseburgers and then hamburgers, double hamburgers. Then you have the red hots, which were the Salines hot dogs. And then there was also a white hots and a blue hot. I don't remember which one was which, but one was Italian sausage and one was, I think, a beef hot dog. And white hot is pork, which is that different from the Salines? Gotcha. There we go. I started on the milkshakes. Yep, and then graduated to the front end. So, and then fries were last. So fries, fry sauce. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad they started you on milkshakes instead of throwing you right into the fray. Our last speaker today is Maggie Craig, and she's being evaluated by Len. So Len, come up and tell us about Maggie's speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. First off, I know you're all wondering how Len customizes his burger. Well, what I've developed is a system of priorities. If I'm making a burger at home, it's got shredded lettuce on it, one big slice of tomato, and Thousand Island dressing. If I should be out of Thousand Island dressing, mayonnaise will do. But I think at my ripe old age, I've consumed enough ketchup. It's time to just try something different. Onions, either diced or sauteed. And then if I'm at a restaurant and I can get away with it, I want an onion ring or two on my burger. Then you get that crusty and the onion. That's just me. Okay. So Maggie's giving a speech on level 3 presentation mastery pathways. It's 5 to 7 minutes for our timer. Purpose of this project is to practice the skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience. So we don't know her. Pretend we never heard of her, okay? This is unfamiliar to the majority of your audience. So, Maggie, is it? Come on up. Title of Maggie's speech is Magnificently Superfluous. Maggie Craig.
Before I start, please don't start timing. McDonald's is your kind of place. That slap happy place. Now, if you're old, you remember that. And you also remember how we customized it. McDonald's is your kind of place. They throw burgers in your face. They put French fries up your nose, mustard down your pantyhose. McDonald's is your kind of place. That was the schoolyard version. And you could even Google it and find out that that was the schoolyard version. So, and that's the version I learned. I thought it was real, that's how McDonald's advertised. I was, in kindergarten. Okay, so good morning. Put my glasses on. That will signify that I'm ready to start the speech. Thank you, Tracy. Good morning, and thank you for your time. My name is Maggie Craig, and I'm here regarding the assessment of my property at 720 Old Niagara Road. Before I begin, I would like to say that I fully understand and accept the principle of fair market valuation. I understand that assessments rise. I understand that markets change, and I understand that values evolve over time. I also understand that municipalities become extremely nervous when citizens arrive carrying folders. particularly organized folders, especially when these folders contain tabs. Mine contain tabs. Now, I wish to be very clear that I am not opposed to reassessment itself. My concern today is with something much more specific. One word, in fact, a magnificent word. A word so elegant, so unnecessarily sophisticated that merely saying it raises your credit score slightly. The word is superfluous. Superfluous. Even now, somewhere, a thesaurus is blushing. Now, according to the dictionary, superfluous means unnecessary extra. And I believe that may be precisely what has occurred with my assessment. Not the assessment itself, the extra assessment, the additional upward enthusiasm, the flourish, the valuation garnish, the superfluous portion. You see, when I purchased my property in 2022, I paid about $370,000. And it was considered a relatively strong sale for that immediate area. An arm's length transaction. Fair market value. Simple, straightforward, responsible, adult paperwork. The kind of purchase where everyone smiles politely while silently calculating interest rates. Now, I fully understand that my purchase may have contributed to broader neighborhood valuation trends. That's logical. It's understandable. That's economics. But what concerns me is the possibility that my own purchase may then have contributed to increasing my own assessment a second time through generalized neighborhood escalation, which begins to feel a little less like valuation and more like applause that refuses to end. In other words, my sale may have helped raise the surrounding values, while my own property then rose again as part of rising tide created by that very sale, which respectfully feels a little superfluous. And once I began thinking about this word, I started noticing other superfluous things everywhere. For example, modern kitchen appliances. At some point, society collectively decided that what humanity desperately needed was an air fryer. And then another air fryer. And then a toaster oven that was an air fryer. And then a pressure cooker that air fries. I currently own a machine that with 11 functions. I use 2. The other 9 are apparently available in the event of a national emergency. Superfluous. And packaging. I recently bought batteries that were sealed inside plastic so impenetrable that I briefly considered calling the fire department. By the time I opened them, the batteries themselves were emotionally exhausted. And then there are email sign-offs. No one simply writes, "Thanks." Now we have warm regards, kindest regards, warmest possible regards within the context of current corporate policy. At some point, our regards became superfluous. But perhaps the greatest source of superfluous material in modern life is human worry, because we rarely stop at the original concern. Nope, we decorate it. A small issue arrives, and within moments we've added extra fear, extra scenarios, extra catastrophes, and occasionally an orchestral soundtrack. I can take that person hasn't texted back yet and arrive at, well, clearly they've moved to another continent and changed identities. Entirely superfluous conclusions. Which brings me back to my assessment. Because what I am asking today is actually very modest. I'm not arguing against fair market value. I'm not requesting special treatment. I am not suggesting that property values have not risen generally. I am simply asking whether the increase applied to my property actually accurately reflects its specific characteristics and actual market position, or whether somewhere along the way a superfluous layer attached itself to the process, an unnecessary extra, a mathematical encore, a sequel no one requested. Because assessments like language are strongest when they are precise, not inflated, not generalized, not superfluous. And honestly, that may also be true of life itself. We add so much extra worry, extra clutter, extra noise, extra obligations, extra kitchen appliances, when sometimes the wisest thing we can do is quietly remove the unnecessary part. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
I think we're going to jump right into our evaluator portion. Oh, timer report. I have that wrote down here. Timer report.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So everybody may or may not have qualified, and I guess the Toastmaster will decide. Les Robinson came in at 5:45. He qualified. Zach came in at 4:10. Under that qualification, he doesn't qualify, but then he added on another minute and 25 seconds, which brought him to 5 minutes and 35 seconds, which would make him qualify. You can decide if that's qualifying or not. And then Maggie did qualify at 7 minutes and 28 seconds.
Whoa, Maggie got it close there. All right. What is everybody's thoughts on Zach? Give it to him. Give it to him because he's an early speaker. Yeah. Like Katie says, if you were DTM, you would be held to a different standard here. You're getting the benefit of inexperience. So we're going to jump into our evaluator portion. Bridget, are you ready?
I'm going to interrupt real quick, and I'm going to hand the timing off to Len and Mark, I believe, if that's okay.
All right, Len and Mark will finish the timing off. Bridget, are you ready for your evaluation of Les?
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So, Les, I thought that you were very good at taking the umbrella title of seminars and adding in several small stories into that. I thought you had a really good vocal variety and facial variety as well. I do personally find your background to be rather busy. I tended to say, oh, what's in the curio cabinet? Oh, look at the fish tank. And perhaps that's me, but I wonder if others also. So there are settings in the Zoom where you can kind of come in closer to yourself. Oh, now the camera just shifted over to there you go. So anywho, I would consider playing with the settings so that it's more focused on you or altering maybe where you're sitting. so that people will be more focused on you. I do notice that you use the connection word of and quite frequently instead of just kind of using a full stop and then continuing with your next sentence. You are very good with your gestures, as I said, your facial and your vocal, but I do think some of them and it might be because of your stature, you kind of go like this, so your hands are outside of it. However, if you're in public, people are going to see that. So I know you have to kind of work with where you are. Are you on video or are you in person with people? I did find that you book ending, you kind of gave the beginning, this is your speech, this is your seminars, kind of laid out what you're going to be doing, giving the different stories that were embedded. And then at the end, you wrapped it up with a conclusion. And I also enjoyed how you added the Toastmaster part of it and the ums and the ands and the all of those. And but overall, I found it enjoyable. You had some good little humorous bits in there as well. And thank you very much. I enjoyed that. So I will leave it at that. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Bridget. And I'm guessing by the sound of your voice that you're not feeling well, so I hope you feel better.
Thank you very much.
Our next evaluator is Larry McKenzie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I had the opportunity of evaluating Zach Finney. Zach, first of all, I loved your title. Your title made me think, what's he going to talk about? And then I'm thinking, it might be reads. Guess what? I think I got you. First of all, your title was great. Thank you. I love that. When you began your speech, you had great gestures. You had eye contact. You were working the room with your eyes. You felt very comfortable when you started to speak. You did have notes, and you looked a little bit nervous when you were trying to look at your notes, like you were trying to find a place on your notes. But with that, you described the perfect burger. I love that because I have a few things that I prefer to do. Number 3, the cheese, which you said. I have an American cheese, but it has to be certain. Number 4, customizing your burger. And the La Foie sauce, how you were explaining that and how unique Reed's was. What I did enjoy was the fact that how you explained how you were able to take orders in the front of the house. It brought me into the fact that your listening skills must be fantastic with that, because without being able to listen properly, you wouldn't be able to reflect that to the back of the house. And they also had to listen with that. With those memory skills that you picked up while working at Reed's, that also might work well into when you're putting together a speech for Toastmasters, because of the fact that you probably don't need those notes. Because if you can memorize just the key words of your speech, in other words, number 3 was what cheese, number 4 was organizing. So if you use those keys in putting your speech together, that could perhaps help with the fact that you won't need a notepad or anything with doing that. Now, was intrigued how you actually customized your speech to where you walked off stage and you incorporated Jill to bring you back. I love how the two of you planned that out so that your speech actually came in at 5 minutes and 35 seconds instead of at the 4 minutes. So I give you thumbs up for that, Zach. And it was a wonderful speech. And I must say, I enjoyed going to Reed's, and I still enjoy going to Reed's. And you are absolutely correct. The sauce doesn't taste the same. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Yes, I've always liked the sauce on the hot dogs, and when I heard that they changed the sauce, I was very depressed, sad. Our next is Len to evaluate Maggie.
Madam Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. And Maggie, that's right, okay. First off, and I've seen you do this in prior speeches, you started off with a song, which nothing pulls an audience into your speech more than hearing lyrics and sometimes, in my case, the feeble attempts at the melody. But you did a great job with that, and then you started into your speech proper. You had props, you had folders, a stack of them, and it was a relatable story that town assessors would be worried about an organized taxpayer. Okay, your eye contact was good. You have great vocal variety, but sometimes you tail off so soft we can't hear it at all. And me being a little hard of hearing, all I'm hearing is the hum from the speakers. So a little tough for me. One thing to work on there. You were closer to the mic. Your distance from the mic was perfect. I look at that for everybody. Some people are back here and they think it's going to work. Essentially, if you can't hear yourself from these speakers, we can't hear you, and the people on Zoom definitely can't hear you. To challenge yourself, and I'm just spitballing here because it was a good speech. The organization, maybe build up to the assessment, which is like the pinnacle of your ire. Talk about the superfluous packaging on the batteries, all the explosion of kitchen appliances that none of us need, but Madison Avenue insists we do, etc. Talk about those as being superfluous, really own that word superfluous, and then go into the heart of your speech, which is the assessment. And I absolutely loved your turn of the phrase. Sequel nobody asked for, mathematical encore. And there were like 4 or 5 other ones, which I didn't have time to take a note of. Just fantastic turns of phrase that make it so enjoyable to listen to. You did a fantastic job, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Len. Timers report, please. They are qualified. Good enough. So Darcy will be coming around picking up ballots. You can vote for any one of the 3. As we are talking here about hamburgers, what restaurant popularized fast form hamburgers? I've heard In-N-Out. I've heard White Castle came first. They were steamed. Oh, this reminds me of high school. But McDonald's refined it. I have no idea how many burgers McDonald's has sold. Used to have that on their sign. But today it's estimated there are 50 billion hamburgers eaten annually in the United States alone. That's a lot of dead cows, I heard, yes. Oh, let's not get into that part. A lot of burgers made from dairy cows that have lost their dairy production ability. Just for information here. This is true. Darcy's agreeing on that one. If anybody would know. And let's see, what else have I got on hamburgers? Well, you could eat a hamburger that has not been cooked. It is called steak tartare. Obviously, the USDA does not recommend this. But I'm guessing if you are eating from your own butchered cow, like Darcy probably does, It's a little safer. You've never had it. Huh? Dave Licati has something to say. Oh, that's a good story. It's probably not true, seeing as oh, I prefer to believe the part about hamburger was created from the ground meat industry in Germany. I like that issue better. So I think we're going to go into reports now. And let's see. First report. How about Sam with the master report? 'Cause Sam usually has to leave early, so.
Thank you, Jill. Just go down my sheet here. Darcy had one at the beginning. Steve, just one Margot, one Marty, I didn't hear anything. Les, one or two ahs. Zach, greater than 5. You did tend to use and so as a transition, just to be mindful of that. Maggie, one little so, but it was between you singing and the speech, so I don't even know if that counts. Bridget, greater than 5. Larry, 3. And Len, I didn't hear any. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Mike Licata, he's standing up. I guess he knew I was going to call him. With a grammarian report.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. We had a lot of descriptive language. I like less using rule of thumb, Zach using entry into the workforce and collaborative effort, but you did have a restart in your speech, not including actually coming back up to the lectern. Maggie, evolve over time. The assessments like language and use other descriptive language. I want to give you a lot of credit for that. I also want to give you credit on using all of your time. You're definitely excelling at that, so that's my side bit. But I do encourage everyone, we put everything online to go back, and if you're interested in really listening to yourself, it's important to go back online and watch it on YouTube. And with that, I'll turn it back over to our toast.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you again, Mike. Let's see. Chris, you want to come up and test our listening skills?
All right, first off, I'd like to make an observation that everyone had to customize their speaking to include the word of the day. All right, we'll start out with Jill. Which day of the week, according to AI, does May 28th fall on every year? Thursday. What is Margot's favorite hamburger?
Anyone she doesn't have to cook.
Yes, whichever she does not have to cook. What is Marty's pet peeve with the hamburger? It's customized to be too large. Les, how heavy was the bag of equipment he used to carry?
50 pounds.
50 pounds. Good job, everybody. Zach, what number was cheese on his list?
3.
Larry did a good job of reaffirming that. Len, what does he want on his burger in a restaurant? An onion ring. And for Maggie, what makes municipalities nervous? A fat file folder. Right.
We just found out from Maggie that she did win at her assessment hearing. that that wasn't the real version of what she said. Thank you, Zach. Zach, you won Best Speaker. We usually hold that up, and I just thought I might catch him. All right. Anybody else's comments about what their best hamburger is? Dave Licata. Swiss burger. Swiss cheese. Wow. A little bit of everything. Swiss cheese. Mushrooms. Okay. Mark is going to jump in.
Today was one of those days I almost hoped I was called for table topics because I was on. What? Oh no. Anyway, I was on overload thinking about burgers, but here are the holy trinity of pseudo fast food burgers. Not McDonald's, not Burger King, not White Castle. We used to call them belly bombers back in New York. Terrible food to eat if you've had too much to drink before you consume them. If you're out west, In-N-Out Burger is that good. Go out of your way, get an In-N-Out Burger, double grilled onions. You're welcome. Shake Shack is number 2. Locally, Shake Shack is excellent. They're very pricey. A double Smoke Shack, cheese, bacon, shack sauce, and diced cherry peppers, outstanding. And then, of course, I'm a big fan of Five Guys. They're smash. They're very good. So, with that.
I always like cheeseburger, but they aren't around anymore. Yeah, broke everybody's heart here, apparently. Darcy. Darcy likes blue cheese on her burger, calling it a blue burger. Katie has a prop.
I have a few announcements. I might as well make it quick too. On my burger, I love all of you talking about that. Makes me hungry. Thank you, CK, for bringing apple pie. And it's just as American as a burger, right? Burgers and apple pie. I couldn't help but bring this prop because when I was teaching, I taught English and history, and just like in our evaluations, we use a sandwich approach, right? I was at the pet store once and saw this, never used it with my dog, but this is a squeaky toy, but it also comes apart. So when I'm teaching to write essays for kids, just like an evaluation where you have the buns, you have your intro and your conclusion with all the juicy details in between. I might leave this behind here. I had to find it in a box of teacher goodies. So that's a good evaluation kind of reminder for a visual. I want to just, since I'm up here, then I won't have to come up again. Thank you to all of our officers who attended the other night. We had our monthly meeting. I appreciate you all. To give an updated report, we are at distinguished status right now. We still could reach presidents, we're at distinguished. We could reach select. We will with one more goal. With 3 more goals, we'll reach president's distinguished, and 4 more is 10 out of 10 for Smedley's distinguished. We still can. I will be reaching you individually if you're close to these levels. We need 3 more level 2s, 1 more level 3, and 2 new members. Very reachable by the end of the Toastmaster year, which is the end of June. So we can do it. On my burger, I like it rare with avocado, fried egg, and grilled onions. Can't do the raw ones. Wish I could, but my guts don't let me. So thank you for this fun topic, Jill.
Thank you, Katie. Have we reached everybody's hamburger lovings and toppings? Well, Darcy talked about her blue cheeseburger. Oh, our general evaluator. Oh, she's Wordmaster report. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Marshall, how did the word do the rest of the way?
Okay. What is the favorite hamburger of Chinese, especially chicken burger? We did the research. If you give a Chinese his first burger, if it means the beef burger, most of us will never take hamburger anymore. But if our first burger is chicken burger, spicy chicken burger, we will love hamburger all my life, all our life. Okay, after table topic, Bridget used the word less Ronson used. Larry used 3 times. Zach, Lan, Margie, Chris all used. Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. And thank you for the Chinese input on hamburgers. Yeah, the same person is back dropping the weights upstairs. Yeah. Maggie wants to say something else here.
Most of you know I love to cook. So one of my favorite things to make is puff pastry. And you take like a little hamburger meatball thing and you put some beautiful cheddar, not American cheese, cheddar, whatever toppings you want inside the puff pastry. And then you bake it and you have these little mini sliders and puff pastry and they're so good. And I tell you, if you ever bring those as an appetite, bring them as an appetizer, they go gone. They were so good.
Thank you, Maggie. Now, Darcy, seeing as I did forget you once, we'll get you up here.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm going to customize my report to you today because I always have more than you want to listen to. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody for coming here this morning. You wake up, you get up, you dress up, you show up, you participate, and you learn and you grow. And learning and comfort do not always go together. In fact, most of the times they don't. So kudos to everybody. Secondly, about the signing in this morning, maybe I was one of those people that gave her a hard time, but I don't really look at it that way. I ask questions. Some people take that a little offense to that, but I ask questions. I said, was there some something that precipitated that we now have to sign in? She says, well, no, we've been lax on it and we probably should have been doing this all along and whatever. Okay, so I said, well, that's just another instance of the people that you can't trust, ruin it for the people that you can. Can we please get back to ethics and character? We have way too much evil in this world, and it just burns my what. All right, so I'm off of that rant. Mike Florio, love the morning prayer. Thank you. Jill, love the toast. We don't always do that, and we should. Awesome agenda. This is awesome. Almost everybody was ready to go, standing up near the lectern. That was great. I'm just going to go down through a few of these things. I don't want that to fall. Sylvia, the opportunity that those jobs provide when you're young, and the Popeye reference, that was great. Dave, I always enjoy your humor. I say it every time. Because I do. Jill, very businesslike. I like that. If you didn't know, Jill and I both grew up in the town of Wilson, and Jill and her family had a farm and garden store in the town of Wilson, and my family did a lot of business there, and very well managed, and I appreciate your businesslike attitude. When Jill speaks, she always stops, she thinks, and the next thing that comes out of her mouth is going to be very intelligent, so I appreciate that. Oh, let's see what else. Years ago, there used to be a little real sign on cheese. And that way you knew it was the real food and not some processed product. But so that's gone away, and I don't know why. Let's see. Les Robinson always does a fantastic job in his speaking. Zach Finney, great. I'm very impressed with Zach's speaking ability, being a new member. He's very comfortable up here. Very little use of his notes. That means he prepared, but even though he forgot a part, we are very forgiving. We allowed him to come back. That was awesome. And then Maggie got up and talked about her reassessment. And I was going to ask you, how it came out, but you said you did win. And I'd be interested to know what you mean by you won. I'd like a little more information about that, maybe later. We're going to keep on time here. Let's see, where am I? Of course, I believe everything on Google, and I believe everything on the internet. I believe everything I read. The evaluators, we could tell Bridget wasn't feeling well and hope she feels better by her voice. Larry looked like you were in outer space. You were all red. Maybe you were on Mars. I don't know, with little stars in the background. That was interesting. That was nice that he complimented Zach on his great listening and memory skills. And then Len gave an evaluation, talked about the good things that Maggie did, the songs, the props, the eye contact, and then the sandwich approach, mathematical encore. I'm a former math teacher. That was an awesome little phrase that I loved. And steak tartare, I have yet to try that. If anybody's tried that, I'd like to know what you thought about it. All in all, it was a great meeting with a great Toastmaster, great participants. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Darcy. Now, our Toastmaster of the day next week is Sylvia. Do you have a theme yet? She will come up with a theme and let us know. Our speakers are Carol Ann, Beth, and David Jones, which Beth is the only one here to remind herself. Phil is an alternate, which again, Phil is not here either. So back to our winners. As I said earlier, Zach Finney was the best speaker. Usually we hold that till the end and they draw, but he's not here to draw and he's not here to collect. Our best evaluator is Larry McKenzie, who is not here. And we had a tie in table topics. Steve and Marty. So would one of you come up and draw your own ticket? Or somebody else's? This one.
And the last three numbers. Last three numbers. 2, 7, 6. Oh,
Glenn won. Yay. So have we got anything else to talk about? And Joe, you can come up and close our meeting out.
Thank you. Years ago, when I was in elementary school, my mother brought home these hamburgers that somebody gave her at work. They were venison. Now, normally I like venison. It was pretty good, but for these things that whoever it was that gave her, I don't think they were prepared right. She didn't tell me they were venison. She just served them. and they tasted god awful. They tasted very gamey, very rancid. I said, Mom, these are gross. They're just regular hamburgers. Well, I don't know what's wrong with them, but I don't like them. Well, she decided not to be a hypocrite because she couldn't stand them either. So they ended up in the garbage. Yeah, unfortunately. So do we have any more announcements? Okay, if not, thank you. It was a wonderful meeting, and I declare this meeting adjourned.